He stood there in my courtroom, barely 22, designer sneakers that cost more than most people make in a month, gold watch flashing every time he moved his wrist like he wanted to blind us all with it. The smirk never left his face, even when the clerk read the charges: reckless driving, 110 in a 40 zone, blowing through 3 red lights, almost killing a mother and her 2 kids crossing the street. The dash cam footage made even me flinch. Then he opened his mouth. "Your Honor," he said, voice dripping with boredom, "do you have any idea who my father is?" "I own this city. My family built half the buildings you're looking at right now. This ticket, this whole circus, it's cute, but let's be real. I'll be out of here in 10 minutes, and you'll still be sitting behind that same old desk." The gallery went dead silent. Even the bailiff froze. I looked at him for a long time. Long enough that the smirk started to crack at the edges. I leaned forward, folded my hands, and began, "Son, I've been on this bench for almost 40 years. I've seen every kind of person walk through those doors. Murderers who cried like babies. Single mothers who stole diapers because they had no choice. Old men who drove drunk because they couldn't face going home to an empty house. And then there's you. You just told me you own this city. Let me tell you a story about the last person who stood exactly where you're standing and said something very similar. His name was Vincent Moretti. They called him Vinny, 24 years old. His father owned construction companies, nightclubs, 3 car dealerships, and if the rumors were true, half the politicians in this state. Vinny had everything. Private jets before he could legally drink. Girls who followed him like he was made of gold. And a brand new Ferrari, bright red, that he loved more than anything else on this earth. One night, Vinny decided the speed limit didn't apply to him. He was coming back from a club downtown, music blasting. Probably a few drinks in him, though his lawyer later swore he was perfectly sober. He flew down Blackstone Avenue doing 128. There was a family crossing at the light. Father, mother, 6-year-old girl holding her daddy's hand, and her little brother in a stroller. Vinny never even hit the brakes. The father managed to shove his daughter out of the way. He and the mother didn't make it. The little boy in the stroller, well, he lived, but he'll never walk again. I was the judge on that case too when Vinny walked in. He had the same look you have right now. Expensive suit. Expensive lawyer. That little tilt of the chin that says, "This is all beneath me." His father sat in the front row, arms crossed, staring at me like I was the one who should be afraid. The prosecutor asked for vehicular homicide. The defense asked for probation, said it was a tragic accident, that Vinny was a good kid who made one mistake, that prison would ruin his future. I looked at the mother of that little girl, 6 years old, now coming to court every day clutching a stuffed bear because she couldn't sleep without it anymore. I looked at the father who pushed his daughter to safety and took the impact himself. I looked at the boy in the wheelchair who kept asking when his mommy was coming home. And I sentenced Vincent Moretti to 25 years, the gallery gasped. His father stood up and started screaming that I'd never work in this city again, that he'd have my robe, my pension, my life. I had him removed. Vinny collapsed. For the first time, the mask came all the way off. He looked like what he was, a terrified kid who finally understood that money can't buy everything. His father tried. Believe me, he tried everything. Private investigators digging into my past, threats, bribes offered through third parties. One night, someone threw a brick through my living room window with a note that said, "Retire or else." I didn't retire. Vinny served 18 years. When he got out, he was 42 years old. The world had moved on without him. His father had died in a boating accident, too much champagne, too fast, no life jacket. The empire crumbled. Creditors took everything. I ran into Vinny about 5 years ago. He was working as a mechanic in a small garage on the east side. Grease under his nails. No watch, no smirk. He recognized me immediately. I thought he'd look away, but he didn't. He walked right up to me, looked me in the eye, and said, "Thank you, Judge. You saved my life. Prison was hell, but the man I was before, he was already dead. You just buried him." He shook my hand. His grip was strong, honest. Then he went back to work. I look back at the young man standing in front of me now, the one who just told me he owns this city. You know what I see when I look at you? I see Vinny on the day he walked in here thinking the world belonged to him. Same arrogance, same blindness, same cliff you're racing toward with the pedal on the floor. But here's the difference between you and Vinny. He didn't get a warning. You're getting one right now. This courtroom, it doesn't belong to your father. This city, it doesn't belong to your family. These streets belong to the mother who almost lost her children because you wanted to feel powerful for 30 seconds. They belong to every person who works 2 jobs just to pay rent while you blow allowance money on bottle service. You say you own this city? No, son, this city owns you. And today she's collecting. I'm fining you the maximum allowed dollar, $10,000. Your license is suspended for 3 years. You will perform 500 hours of community service at the Children's Hospital. Pediatric ward, the one that treated the family you almost destroyed. Every single hour. And you will pay for the repairs to the 2 cars you totaled? Out of your own account, not daddy's. One more thing before you leave this courtroom. You're going to turn around and look at that mother sitting in the back row. The one holding her kids so tight her knuckles are white. You're going to walk over to her, look her in the eye, and apologize. Not through your lawyer. Not in a text message later. Right now. And if I don't believe you mean it, we'll start this whole process over again tomorrow with jail time on the table. The courtroom was silent. You could hear his breathing, fast and shallow. The smirk was gone. His hands shook as he turned around. The mother stared at him, tears running down her face, holding her children like she'd never let go again. He opened his mouth. Nothing came out at first. Then, barely a whisper. I'm so sorry. I could have killed your babies. I'm sorry. His voice broke. He started crying, ugly, real tears that no amount of money could buy away. The mother looked at him for a long time. Then she nodded. Once, I banged the gavel. Court adjourned. As they let him out. He didn't look back at his friends in the gallery. He didn't flash the watch. He just walked, head down, a different person than the one who'd swaggered in 20 minutes earlier. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why I still sit on this bench, because every once in a while, the city reminds someone who she really belongs to, and sometimes, if we're lucky, that someone listens.